So you guys are probably here because you've seen this title and you're probably exhausted of your life being the way it is, just like I was when all this type of stuff started. Being sick and tired of your raggedy ass life is what's really gonna help you become the ideal you. Number one thing that I did before anything else, I changed the people who I was around. The stuff that we did just got stupid old and I was over it. And I was like, you know what? I'm a fabulous person. Even if my surroundings aren't as fabulous, I would like them to be right now. So what can I do to change that? I wanted to be more polished. I wanted to have my dream body. I wanted to have my dream social circle. I wanted to be a highfalutin, elegant woman. We still working on that part, but you know, we're all just a work in progress. And you also got to remember that life is just a work in progress. So you can't really beat yourself up over these things. But I'm a lot further than I was when I first started all of this. The first thing, the easiest thing, we're using easy in quotation marks, is I started going to the gym. That was the surefire way how I started to put myself around different kind of people. I didn't go to a local gym. I wanted more than the area that I'm in. So when you change the people who you're around, you really just see different life experiences, different things. For example, when I look on TikTok as a new TikToker, I started to see like the meme jokes of like the Beverly Hills mom or the mom from Calabasas, whatever. And it's super duper funny, but the kind of ridiculous things they complain about is just so outside of the wheelhouse. And I think that's absolutely hilarious. Like, oh my God, I hope my face isn't moving as this woman is bawling her eyes out. Or she hopes that somebody bought the $16,000 Tiffany rattle on her baby registry. People who like these kinds of things live a certain type of lifestyle. I'm pretty sure 16 grand is a bit crazy for some of us to spend on a rattle, but to somebody else who just has literally no care in the world, money doesn't matter to them, they're around people like that. Now, did I place myself in spaces like that? No, because usually when you put yourself in places like that, it comes with obviously a premium price tag. And so I ended up going to a gym that was not in my area, and I just started doing group training. And that was probably one of the greatest things I ever did because, yeah, not only was I around different type of people, more established people, more polished people who are in the careers that they want to be part of, or more content with their lives, are actively working towards the things that they want out of their lives. I slowly started becoming one of those people too. If you really think about it, that quote, "You are who you hang around," it's freaking true. In order to start to break away from these things, you have to break away from those types of people. I'm sorry, there's no way to get around that, because if you really think about it, we really are like tofu. You absorb what you're around. So if you're only used to seeing people in poverty and getting into trouble with the law and have such bad misfortunes, you're probably gonna also get some of that energy rubbed off on you. So that is the most important thing that you need to do out of all of this. So serious, do not overlook this step. I promise you. You need to find out what your motivation is. Because if you don't have any motivation for it, then you're not going to follow through with what you want. Your motivation can't be about anybody else but yourself. It's really about you becoming clear on what you want out of your life, what you envisioned your dream self to be. This is like actually a really good exercise. I want you to write down a couple of things until you have no more ideas. So let's say you don't like the way your skin is. So what you need to do is write, I want to have clear skin, or I want my skin to be more even, whatever the case is, right? And also be like gentle on yourself, because some things we really can't change as much as we would like to. And that doesn't mean that you're any less or that your goals aren't worth pursuing because of these other things. Like if you were born with like, you know, a skin condition, or you're born with, I don't know, like a birthmark or something, obviously certain things like that we can't change, but it doesn't mean that you still can't become the greatest version of yourself. Yes, you're always going to be a work in progress, but at the same time, like, You gotta be gentle with yourself. I mean, look at Kim Kardashian. She still complains about her having a stretch mark, or she complains about herself aging, or she wishes that, and I'm just saying all physical things, or maybe she wishes that she was more of a, I feel like I've seen like shorts of her talking about wanting to be like a better parent or something, but it's a work in progress. She, to some people, has nothing to complain about, but she still has things that she wants to work on, or maybe some things like a stretch mark really can't change. But that doesn't take away who she's become or who she's trying to still become, because even now, like, she's still, isn't she like in law school or something? Yeah, so just be easy on yourself. Also, and for my ladies, and then also my men too, do not let a man or a relationship be the reason why you want to change things. You will always be wanting for more and more, and people are fickle, they change their minds. Do stuff for you, okay? Or you want to be more healthy, so you need to write down, you want to start looking up recipes or something like that to eat healthier. Or when you go out to eat, instead of getting noodles and stuff drizzled, smothered in sauce or curry and everything else that's cheesy and delightful and what's happy in your tummy and in the world, those things are probably keeping you from having the healthy diet that you want. So instead of doing that, maybe you need to get a salad and maybe some raw foods, grilled meats. Stay away from the fried food. Do all of these things. Super important too. You can't show up as yourself even if you're not where you are, if you don't create the habits that you want to become the person that you are. Caresha and Young Miami, the City Girls, and all of them first came out, everybody was saying that Caresha couldn't rap. She can't rap on beat. Like, why did these people get a record deal? But you know what? It didn't stop her from being herself. It didn't stop her from getting in that booth. It didn't stop her from being on live. Even when people would say she would say something stupid, it didn't stop her from doing all these things. And guess what? That's why people grew to love her. So, yeah, like, still do all of those things. For me, I also wanted to just be more in shape or whatever, right? So instead of just sitting at home and moping about the body that I want, now, did I necessarily eat the way I needed to eat? No. Am I currently eating the way I should eat? Not as much as I should, but I'm going in the right direction. Did I feel like getting out of bed? No, I didn't feel like getting out of bed. But guess what? I did it anyway because those are the actions I need to take in order for me to have the lifestyle that I wanted. Or then, when I was in the gym, I started, forming relationships with the people in there. And they started to inviting me to other things and activities that they had for themselves. So that branched me out to meeting different kind of people that have a whole new life that I've never seen before. So that's super important, guys. So make sure you do these things. Do not sabotage yourself. Another thing that's super important, get hobbies. I think this is one of the most underrated things, especially when we're caught up in the hamster wheel of work and life and being bored. Even if you're tired and still you want to lay down, and trust and believe, I'm a Pisces. I will lay down in a heartbeat at any given moment. You should freaking do that, okay? But also, there's other things to do. For example, I really enjoy the water. Unfortunately, I live in a place that's landlocked and has a freaking haunted lake with the spirits of my ancestors in it. Instead, I found a pool, and I like to float on my back, and I do my little strokes or whatever. I have a good time, and I feel refreshed. Even if I didn't feel like getting up and getting in that pool and washing my hair after that, guess what? I did it anyway. And once I got in the water, I felt so much better. I was more mindful. I felt great, okay? So that's what you guys should do. And let's say you don't know what you like anymore. All you like to do is scroll on TikTok. Maybe start doing TikToks if you have some funny thing to do. Literally anything is possible in these days, so don't let the fear of being seen and being perceived as stupid or goofy stop you from doing the stuff that you want to do. Just saying. And if you don't know any other hobbies that you like, think about the stuff that you liked to do as a kid or you wanted to do as a kid, but for whatever reason, it couldn't happen. Life happens, we all have our own traumas. So, for example, what did I like to do as a kid? I really liked arts and crafts and doing things like that. And in my job today, I get to do a lot of arts and crafts. I get to make a bunch of different things that I never thought I'd see. For example, I had a job once and a client really needed a frat house to happen. Have I ever been in a frat house? No, but I've seen enough movies, I've seen enough pictures. TikTok gives you outlets to things, YouTube, I freaking love YouTube. I saw what these things look like. So in my ridiculousness, I got a bunch of posters, I got freaking American flags, I made some fake Greek letter organization off the dome, made the signage for it. What else? Frat houses are usually pretty dirty, pretty messy. The place that we had to do the client's idea was this very conservative woman's home, and she didn't mind us doing what we need to do in order for them to get what they wanted. But they had this baby grand piano, and I was like, well, obviously I can't wheel out this baby grand piano, but I was able to get out some of the other things that made this definitely not look like a frat house. So what I did was opened up the piano. There was this stale thing of graham crackers or cookies or something like that. I spread them all over the piano, all in the piano, all over the ground around the piano, and I chucked the thing on its side. Because guess what? I would assume, and all the things I've seen in a frat house, they're disgusting, they're messy, they're all over the place, they don't care, they're a bunch of bros. They're a bunch of bros. So guess what? I got in my bro state of mind, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and the client freaking loved it. Yeah, like, I really like crafts, and that's the closest thing to craftiness I can get. Because, yeah, I didn't want to be an art teacher or anything. So I found another way to do a bunch of crafts. See what I'm going here? Yeah, like I said before, accept and be okay where you are currently, and then have realistic expectations of how long it'll take you. Like I said before, this is a lifelong journey. You can do everything. Like, for example, remember when Aaliyah J, if you know who that is, she's a really popular YouTuber. But she was just a girl telling story times and doing makeup, and she was a baddie and all this other kind of stuff. Now she's living in luxury, going on brand trips, and doing all the things she always wanted to do. She probably still has bigger goals than where she's at now. And yeah, like, it takes time. The same thing with Kim Kardashian. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Okay? Be realistic, but also know that there is no such thing as perfection. It's like a person who gets a lot of plastic surgery. They probably also think that there's one more procedure that can make them that much more perfect. Maybe, but they can also bring other insecurities along with that. So just be gentle on yourself. You need to be okay with being alone. A lot of these journeys and self-help, it's a very lonely thing, okay? Along the way, you're going to find people who you mesh with, and they'll come with you along some of the time for that journey. Probably not the whole thing. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. Sometimes just people don't mesh, and that's okay. But you can't let that stop you from doing what you want to do. Just being real with you. The thing that is holding most of us back is the opinions of others. So truthfully, a lot of this, and as somebody who is in the Yap Olympics, sometimes you just can't tell people these things. And I probably have told a lot of people the things that I wanted to do in passing. Sometimes I still did hang out with people that didn't align with who I was, even though I was still doing the things that I wanted to do. But yeah, I would say certain things. No one's really believing me, or they're saying, oh girl, you ain't doing that today. But sometimes I wouldn't. But then I would. Over time, they were like, oh shoot, she was actually really serious about these things. A lot of times if people see the progress before you, that's how you know you're doing everything you need to do. When I perceived myself to be out of shape, which I was, now everyone is seeing me like really, really in shape. Like, I don't know if you can see kind of like my guns. Okay, now I still want to be more in shape than I am now, but people were like, oh, we never thought Izzy was fat, but now they're really starting to see like I was on the brink of letting myself go. And coming from a lot of people that may have potentially let themselves go, they're like, girl, that was nothing compared to whatever it was that I had. You know, things change, hormones change, whatever. Still nothing wrong with that, but I'm happy that I stuck with my own mind and what I wanted out of my life, despite what other people felt. You know, does that make sense? It's all good. Yeah, ladies, just be really sensitive on yourself when it comes to that, because society will tell you what you shouldn't want. That's why it's so important for you to have your own mind and your own wants. External forces, people and opinions should not determine how you feel about yourself. The example I always love to use when it comes to this, okay? For example, as you can see, I am black. So In my community, it was always desirable to be seen or to be a little bit thicker, right? You want to have a bigger butt or whatever. You probably want an hourglass figure and a flat stomach and big titties or whatever the case is, but really never cared about titties, whatever. When Nicki Minaj and Kim Kardashian came into more prominence in their careers and in popular culture and our society, at least in America, maybe overseas to a degree as well, it made other people in other communities want to also get BBLs and have this certain aesthetic that was more traditional to our community. When it became more popularized, it was a bunch of people that are in the community who maybe never had that shape, or maybe they had to a degree that aesthetic, but they just, maybe they had a more boxy shape, or they were more shaped like a pear, or they were more shaped as a triangle. You guys have seen that body chart. I'll try to paste one in. But everybody was so hyper focused on creating this one look that not everybody necessarily had, and it created this whole pandemonium. Girls are going to freaking red roof ends and getting fix-a-flat inserted into their behinds. Some girls went on the surgery table, right? And then now heroin chic is back in like the early 2000s, so everybody wants to be super slim and everybody's on Ozempic, right? So things are changing, but you need to stick by what you wanted for your own self and what you wanted your ideal self to look like, what you wanted your ideal self to be doing, right? But I think a lot of people got hyper focused on what society said that you should want or what you should look like, and they started doing all these things, and now they have even more issues than before, because at first they were like, oh, I'm insecure because I don't look like this, right? A body type that they never even cared about, and for being for real, right? And so now maybe they doctored themselves up and maybe did things that are not so easy to reverse, and now the opposite's in. And now we see people like Dream Doll saying, well, this isn't in, as if your body isn't the whole vessel, like you're easily given a second one, like this is the island or something, and you can just buy a new body, which in theory you can do, but it doesn't really necessarily give you the health that you have. And as you get older, a lot of these people are going to have a lot more issues. This one gets me all the time, because I remember when Instagram first became a thing, because there was always like Facebook and like MySpace, and people, you know, had their thing when it came to that. But really when it came to Instagram, I started noticing this whole hourglass look with the hips or whatever, and I kind of got insecure about that too, to a certain degree. But then I remember to myself, I'm like, did I ever really even care about this type of look at all? No, I didn't. That was society and the powers that be around me influencing me to want these things. So I gave it up, and I was like, what do you actually want to look like? What do you want your ideal self to look like? And so I went along with that. And it made me a lot happier, and I don't feel like I'm in this rat race. Another prime example in the Black community, especially when I'm seeing with women, right? I remember back in elementary school when we had more African students or people with more or less Western features, right? People make fun of you for having big lips and a big nose, right? Even in our own community, because of the supremacy and all that. But we can't think too much about that, right? Because that's nothing we can change. But you can change your mindset. So always remember that. But now, when people are getting made fun of because they had big lips and everything else, right? We see Kylie Jenner saying that she's just using lip liner and overlining her lips, but she's really getting lip injections, right? Why do we see so many Black women getting lip injections now?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
When did any of you guys ever, I've never heard of anybody saying they wanted lip injections. Ever. But since we see all these other people, or the more, I guess, desirable women, or the preference, as people like to call them, if you want to subscribe to that, getting all these things, now all of a sudden you feel like you need to go out and get these things too. That's one of the weirdest things. The BBLs made perfect sense. Wanting a big behind and having a little behind at that time, they made fun of me. Okay? Now, did I want to go out and get a BBL and get my hips done and all of that stuff? No, I didn't. I always just wanted big titties. I don't have those now, but I could buy them. But that's something that I personally has always wanted for myself, right? I didn't have insecurities when it came to the other things about myself. But I didn't let that become a thing that I feel like I should get because everybody else is getting it. And I just feel like that one particular cosmetic thing is totally weird to me. I'm not even going to front to you, but if that was your reality and that's your want, then hey, that's cool. But I feel like we should all be very careful about what we allow for society to influence us to want, especially if that's never been a want for you to have, right? Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? But yeah, guys, that is the end of my spiel about this. I hope you guys really learned something, because I think as a collective, we all just need to remember what we actually wanted before we really had the chance for outside influences to really influence what we wanted or what we thought we should be or who we should be. 15 years ago, we would have never thought, hey, that person who's just sitting in front of their camera and their webcam can make a whole career out of just talking to their webcam and doing their makeup or creating goofy movies or just being a pure idiot and a plumb fool. But guess what? People made whole careers out of that, and we would have never known that would have happened, right? But they were just being themselves. They were just doing what was natural to them. And they didn't care about what other people thought about it or other people seen, because I feel like even a lot of those people, they were just doing it. They didn't tell the people closest around them what they were doing, okay? So keep this in mind. So your project is for after seeing this video, or even as you're writing that, because we all have an iPad, a computer, a TV around us, and we're probably scrolling as we're listening to TV or listening to music or something else. Write down what you always want it to be. Write down your specific body goals. Write down your career goals. Write down what you can currently do with the resources that you currently have to make that happen. And do not have a lack mindset. Everything that you want is around you. If you just can see the forest for the trees, whatever the hell that saying goes, okay? So just think about that. Your favorite cousin is logging off, okay? I'll talk to y'all later.